Yo, hey, how you doing tonight? How are you doing? It's gonna be a good one tonight. You ever have one of those days where you didn't feel like doing anything? That was today for me, but I'm here tonight. Couldn't not do a show. It only made sense. So here I am. It's gonna be fun tonight. I'm gonna piggyback on what we talked about last week as far as Project Blackjack, DARPA, and previous events with that. But it's not exactly the same thing. Now, what I found here is just maybe could be a pattern of connections, could be something that could be nothing. So I found an article in the Telegraph called Blackjack, and it's labeled Operation Blackjack, story of a series of terrorist nuclear attacks on major Western cities and the aftermath. Made January 12th, 2009, or published at 8:59 a.m. All right. Now, get that out the way. We're gonna let some people get in here before we get started. Don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Rabbit Hole. Check out Twitter, and TikTok, Instagram, all those other great social media networks, and find the page and like it. Okay. All right. Get the chat open. Guys, let me know you're in here. Speak. Say hello. Don't be rude. Got to speak. Come on in here. It's kind of last minute. I should have posted it early, but I didn't. But I'm here. Um, I said I wanted to get this out to you guys. I thought it was interesting. I found this months ago, so it's not like it's something new. I just think it's very interesting. It's like a slideshow of events, and tonight's show is called "The Casino Always Wins." Why? Because it's a rigged show. All right, and Blackjack, Operation Blackjack, Project Blackjack, and the Blackjack project with DARPA and all that good stuff is a part of this. Why? It has to be. It's all the same thing. All right, so I'm gonna share my show. I'm gonna share my screen. It's gonna be interesting. All right, let's see. All right, so this is a five-part thing. So I'm gonna try to get through it pretty quick. All right, so this is Blackjack, right? Here it is. Blackjack, Operation Blackjack, story of a series of terrorist attacks on major Western cities in the aftermath of it. All right, so this is a thing. It's not like it's a real thing. It's very like fictionist. It's fake. Like it says down here, a slide story. Events portrayed in this slideshow are entirely fictionist. But I find it so interesting that these fictionist events seem like they're, a thing right now. And, let's go over it. All right, so this is part one, June 20th, 2 p.m. All right, MI5 report warns government of imminent terrorist attack. So look, this is just a slideshow, right? It's like a little comic they did in the newspaper. I thought it was very interesting. All right. Report warns government attack. A coalition of homegrown extremists, Islamists, and Christian doomsday cultists may have acquired the means to carry out a mass casualty attack. All right. Such a strike may take the form of biological, chemical, or even nuclear attack in one of the main population centers. Human intelligence indicates that this group is ready to strike at any time. In the event of such an attack, the likelihood of many thousands of casualties are high. All right. So look, they play like a little game, man. Like it's just so what you're looking at is a slideshow. They made it up. It was maybe just like a mock simulation in the newspaper, and they were just like, "Hey, let's put this out here." But if you know, like all of us, and understand how this game is played, then this is a form of predictive programming. This is one of those things that they know the outcome. They know what they're doing. It's like a desensitization to the events that could or may happen. Again, this is all for entertainment purposes only. This is just a slideshow, people. Okay. Now, take this in for a second. They took time to do this, pictures, a whole idea. I'm going to try to get through this as quick as possible because it's a few slides. Also broken up in different parts. All right, so the Prime Minister makes a statement on the threat, current threat level. Home Office raises threat level to critical. New systems have been created to keep the public informed about the level of threats to the UK from terrorism. System also helps the police and other law enforcement agencies determine how they should respond to and prepare for a terrorist incident. The threat levels are critical, severe, and substantial. All right. Let me move my chat box where you guys can see it a little better. There you go. All right. A lockup garage in southeast London. A package is loaded into a white van. All right. Exodus, Q's building on all major routes. Police and security forces raid known militants. So they play this whole thing out like a real scenario. And panic buying leaves shelves empty across Britain. All right. Now we've seen events like this. That stuff can happen here. Nothing special, right? Could all be fiction. As pumps run dry as drivers stock up on fuel. This is June 22nd at 8 a.m. Unnoticed, a white van parked near Victoria, London. June 22nd, June 22nd at 8:03 a.m. A view from an airliner over London, and then boom, right? They're playing the situation out. June 22nd at 3:20 a.m. Bomb goes off, right? So this is the thing. This is a whole operation that they put in a Telegraph newspaper, right? So they're kind of going through the motions. 8:15 a.m. June 22nd. Cities in ruins. It's in fire. It's in flames. This is a real thing, right? 1 week after the bomb. Now, as far as a real thing, this is a real slideshow from the Telegraph. Like you guys can see the link. Post the link in the chat. Not a problem. Check it out. Follow along with me. Like this is a real mock simulation. All right. So the Battersea Power Station was hit. Big Ben, all the major structures, Westminster in that area. Buckingham Palace is hit. That's end of part one. We're in part two, right? So this is the beginning of the whole situation. All right. This is like, what's that movie? London Has Fallen. Same scenario. This is 2009. So this is one of those things where they were playing on the strings of entertainment and just standard, putting it in newspapers. I don't know the right way to say it, but they put it in the newspaper for everyone to see it. Like I said, this is the number one way of predictive programming is to put it in a paper, and people may or may not see it anyway. But you did your job. You put it in the paper for people to see. It's up to them to make the decision, right? Part two. So, all right, New York, millions flee city. So now we've made it to America, right? This is where part two is going. It's going to lead us into America in this whole event. All right. So they show, different monuments in the cities and all this stuff, just filling you in, right? So we're going to go to part two. All right, we're on part two. Previously on Blackjack, London was hit, right? Like this. So this is a week later, right? So let's look at the date. I want to let you guys know. All right, I'm going to put this one, January 22nd, 2009. All right, so this is like a little mini series in the Telegraph, right? And they're just basically out here running a mock simulation. Previously in Blackjack, they talk about the coalition of homegrown extremists, Islamists, Christian doomsday cultists that may have acquired means to carry out a mass casualty attack. So previously, if you guys are just coming in, all right, previously we're talking about a operation called Blackjack, which is along the side of Project Blackjack, like we talked about last week. Okay, now I found a little slideshow that kind of simulates the operation that we're talking about. We're all waiting for in America, allegedly, with the migrants and immigrants, whatever, and different people in different areas, sleeper cells, all these things, right? So it's a mock simulation posted in the Telegraph in 2009 of January. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going through these slides with you guys, and I just want you to see like how deep this idea is going. All right. So previously, London, Buckingham Palace, and all the sites in London were hit, mass attack. All right. So we've moved on. We're in part two. This is June 22nd, 8:03 a.m. in New York. So this is a mass event. So what we were seeing in the first slideshow was it took place in London first. Okay. It happened there first, happened in the financial district. All right. Now this is New York City. Boom. Same thing. Same time, around the same time frame, mass attack happens within the city. All right. Washington, D.C., same thing. Boom. See what I'm talking about? Now, this is something that we've all been talking about. We've been talking about sleeper cells, mass attacks happening in the event of stuff like this. Shit hits the fan. What do? Okay. Now, this is from 2009. And I'm not saying that it could be symbolic to anything. I'm saying it's very spot on and it's very coincidental that this was made 14 years ago. All right. So DC's been hit. They've been attacked. You see the plume of smoke. All right. Toronto. Toronto's also on the list too, right? Boom. Toronto's been hit. This is also part of the slideshow for Operation Blackjack. All right. So Toronto's been hit. Anarchy in Toronto. Cloud of smoke. Telegraph. We're not making a subscription tonight. All right. Boom. Mexico City also too, people. Mexico City's on here. Let's remember these names, okay? I put the slideshow in the comments, guys. So just follow along. I got to get through because I got like three more parts to do. All right. And then we're going to get to talk about it and all that good stuff, man. Just bear with me. Talk to me in the comments. I see your comments. All right. So, boom. Portland also. I've talked about Oregon. I've said things about Oregon, right? This is similar to this, right? All right. And of course, City of Angels, downtown LA Center, boom, also attack, right? So now we have a mass casualty attack happening right now. See the plume of smoke, see the graphics. All right. So this would be like a media report from somewhere else. All right, we got four inside of America, one in Canada and one in Mexico City, all hit with explosions at the same time. A week later, New York is in ruins, right? Washington D.C. is in ruins. All right, we're in part three. We're getting through it. All right, now there's a new flag being flown. Why? Because, something's happened. All right, boom. Department of Homeland Security, emergency transmission. Stay at home and wait for further instructions. All right, in part three. I'm going to part three now. Let's look at the date, February 4th, 2009, 5:55 p.m. Gotta love those angel numbers. Blackjack Part 3. Previously in Blackjack, a coalition of homegrown extremists, Islamists, and Christian doomsday cultists may have acquired the means to carry out a mass casualty attack. London, June 22nd, was attacked. New York, Washington, D.C., Toronto, Mexico City, Los Angeles, and Portland were also attacked at the same time. So this is a mass attack. It happened all at once. All right. Worst case scenario, the sum of all fears. Okay. Remember the movie. A lot of this is playing on that right now. So just bear with me. All right. Now with millions dead and world into chaos, let's see the Glass Eye reports. All right. I kind of took that as possibly Project Looking Glass, but that's just speculation. All right, the evil people, this has exceeded our wildest expectations. It's time for phase two. All right, so there's already a deep state involved here. Notice how the graphics made their faces kind of blurted out. You don't know these people's faces. They're just the people who pull the strings. All right, out of the ruins, a new country appears. Citizens of the UNA, the government is moving quickly to restore order and to punish the masterminds behind the June 22nd attacks. All right. Then you see the blue helmets come in, right? Who are the blue helmets? All right. You guys are following me? All right. Now this is supposed to be fixed. This is fictional, people. This was in the Telegraph 2009. This is a mock simulation ran in a newspaper. People, predictive programming at its best. Okay? Predictive programming at its best. You guys we're getting through it. You're gonna see what I'm talking about. All right. President of the Union of North America. See the name change with the eagle and all that? My fellow citizens, the June 22nd attacks were the greatest crime in world history. Millions died. The capitals and other cities of 5 great countries were reduced to radioactive rubble. From the ashes of these great nations, a new power arises, the Union of North America. From here in our new capital in Denver, I have authorized the armed forces of the UNA to begin immediate operations against the nations who planned and executed these attacks of infamy by air, land, and sea. But I've also authorized the use of other measures specifically against. Peep the names, people, peep the names. Iran, Syria, and China. In our homeland, we are moving against many thousands of people who collaborated in these evil plots. They will be held in special containment facilities across the UNA. Special containment facilities across the UNA. Some people like to call those FEMA camps. That's just me. Many hundreds have already been apprehended and are currently transit in those facilities. In the meantime, I ask you to abide by the state of emergency that exists across our nation. Denver, chaos. Manchester, rioting. Tijuana, anarchy. Dublin, same thing. Montreal, same thing. All right. Now we're going to part 4. All right. Now we're in Blackjack part 4. It says previously a plot to destroy the major cities of the West succeeds. London, New York, Washington, D.C., Toronto, Mexico City, Los Angeles, Portland are incinerated. Excuse me. With the world in chaos, a new Western government appears based in Denver, Colorado. Now, why is Denver, Colorado so significant? Well, right now, if you know Denver, Colorado, that's where Space Force headquarters is at. That's where the Denver airport, which is a quote unquote a Freemasons airport, and that's where a lot of deep underground bunkers could be at also too. These are things that we have all discussed. These are videos and content we've all put out. All right. So this isn't anything new, right? It's just a theory. It prints a new currency on a coin. I bet you that coin is backed by some type of hard metal, maybe gold, possibly silver. Flies a new flag. So you see 5 cities, the stripes going up and down, whole new setup, right? Almost like the Purge and the new founding fathers. All right. The government of the UNA quickly identifies China, Iran, and Syria as the culprits. Subsequent war is quick and decisive. Unelected, a new president issues a new constitution, declares martial law. Unelected new president. An unelected new president. This is 2009. This is supposed to be a mock simulation. All right. You QAnons are talking about someone not being unelected. I'm just saying the coincidences are very near. This is not fear mongering. This is a fictional story. This is entertainment purposes also. Got to say this stuff because they like to take the videos down and be petty. All right. 1 year earlier, while politicians have busied themselves with ensuring their own political survival, our patriotic efforts have made the difference between defeat and survival of the Western way of life. For 6 decades, our unsung efforts have repeatedly saved our nations from disaster through decisive intervention. We have been the glue that has held the Western world together, and the veneer of democracy and economic success have been maintained. Excuse me. But our power has begun to wane throughout the 90s and early this century. The need for oil and strategic dominance led us into fighting wars at home, abroad, and all while, as we exhausted ourselves, the oil supply dwindled and the global population exploded. In the last few years, we have been rushing towards catastrophe. Decadence has become endemic. Our personal and national debts have exploded, and all while our enemies have grown stronger. Our political leaders have dithered and prevaricated. Excuse me. Now, a new regimen threatens to undermine our way of life further. You see who that guy could possibly, take a peek into that. The decline we face today is greater than half a century ago. We face economic and social disaster at home, and defeat abroad. Time has come for action. First drop years ago, we look into Blackjack for a solution. Teardrop, Operation Blackjack, top secret eyes only. Ringmaster in between it. You see DC, Mexico, everybody connected to it. The Ringmaster has touched all these. It is one solid group attacking multiple groups. Okay? This is all fictional, people. This isn't real. All right, it's all fictional. All right, now this is where it gets juicy. This is if you listen to this, right? The ordinance for Blackjack has been secured. Nukes go missing. This is like a mock newspaper thing, right? 5 nuclear warheads were briefly unaccounted for last week. The Military Times reports when the warheads were not removed from the missiles armed by a B-52 bomber prior to its flight from North Dakota to Louisiana. The weapons were in Air Force control at all times and there was no danger to the public. An investigation is underway. You guys remember when that ammonium nitrate on the train went missing? Does this not sound familiar? Is this not like something we should all kind of take a second and look into ourselves and think about? All right, it says we have sufficient assets, both CODIS and GBR for phase two. Brigade Homeland tour start October 1st. All right. The conflict in Israel started the 7th. That's not a coincidence. Nothing to see here, right? We anticipate further phase may be needed to deal with insurgencies along the east and west coast. The criminals in the executive will be arrested in the executive and transferred to await trial once the operation is complete. Hey, so what are we actually saying right now? What are we saying right now? Let's go back and read that. The criminals in the executive will be arrested and transferred to await trial once the operation is complete. Does that all right? So that plays on what right now? That plays on the Guantanamo Bay theory and all of our elected officials being, quote unquote criminals or warmongers, whatever, right? So apparently, even in this mock simulation, some of the executives were arrested, and there was an unelected president who deemed control, right? Okay. In the series finale, the Union of North America Department of Homeland Security and Oversight. Excuse me, guys. All purchases and business, all purchases, business, and financial transactions across the UNA must now be supported by presentation of your UNA biometric identification card. UNA Oversight has the authority to close businesses that fail to demand the sight of the card for the client and the customer. Citizens who fail to carry their card and present it upon demand could face unlimited jail terms. Whoa, we're sounding kind of Gestapo right now out here, right? We're sounding real authoritative. Isn't this playing on you guys' idea of like surveillance and tracking and all this stuff? This is 2009. Again, mock simulation, operation. They put them in ways that seem fake, but if you look at what we're dealing with, they seem really real right now. Ooh, excuse me. In the finale of Blackjack, give us our country back, and you see no to fascism, all this stuff, people start rioting, right? Coming soon. Resistance within America starts, right? We're in part four. We're going to part five right now. Part five, right? So there's emergency transmission network. Attention citizens, our Union of Nations has been left scarred but unbowed by the June 22nd attacks. Your government has meted out justice and of the countries responsible for planning these evil crimes. However, the time of danger is not past unless at least 6 other terrorist cells are operating in North America and 2 in the British Isles. There is reason to believe they are equipped with more nuclear devices. This is a moment of grave danger. We cannot allow further destruction and mass loss of life. Under the terms of the Emergency Contingency Act of 2011, our government is instituting the following precautionary measures to immediate effect. So what does that sound like? What do you think is coming, right? You got to know martial law is on the way. All right, so it's the same notice on that. So we're gonna go to the next one. All citizens are obliged, with immediate effect, to take contact with the approved health provider to arrange to receive a one-time vaccination against a range of biological and chemical agents. There is no charge for this implant. Failure to comply could result in unlimited prison time. What are we talking about? This is 2009. This is supposed to be fictional. 2009. One-time vaccination against a biological and chemical agent. Again, this is fictional. This is entertainment and education and whatever purposes deemed not for them to take my video down for saying this out loud. Listen to what I'm saying right now. If predictive programming is believed to have been used over the years on us, what makes this any different from what's going on today? Right? There's considerable evidence that some internet chat rooms, alternative websites, and forums were used by the perpetrators on June 22nd attacks to coordinate their actions. To prevent further use of the web for these purposes, steps are being taken by the regulatory authorities to monitor and prevent unpatriotic abuse of digital communications. What the hell am I doing right now? What do you call what I do for a living right now? Okay? Listen to me. I don't make this up. Which one have I put? Let me put the rest in here. I put what? Two in here? I'm sorry. Let me put three in here for y'all. Add four. My bad. Follow along. This is funny to me. Like people say a lot of times, like this stuff is just for make believe, right? It's all hearsay. It's all fake. Whatever, man. Look, predictive programming is real, and they're putting it in our face, and they've been putting it in our face. No one said anything when this stuff was happening, right? All right, I'm on five. I'm gonna go ahead and put five in there too. You guys always know I leave you with receipts. What's up, Steve? Said bring on martial law. A bunch of us are disgruntled vets, and some scary dudes are ready to pop off. And Matt says FJB. All right. Hey, I see a notice on my screen. Don't be trying to take my stuff down. All right, let's get back into this. Where was I at? All right, here we go. Sorry, I missed a part. Sorry, guys. Sorry. All journalists operating within the UNA are required to contact the Department of Homeland Security and Oversight within 1 month. Registration is mandatory. Upon registration, the DHSO will satisfy itself of a journalist's credentials and issues a license to operate. All persons intending to publish material for consumption by third party in any media must be registered and approved. Failure to comply could result in unlimited jail time. Come on, man. What does that sound like to you guys? Come on. Come on, man. How does it 2009? Come on, when they made this is the final installment to this, right? This is February 13th, 2009, 3:42 p.m. Okay? This is the final installment to this. So now anarchy has set in. But despite the unprecedented crackdown and ban on public demonstration, the number of protests grow. Free fire at will, democracy, peace, justice. The terrorist sympathizing scum clear the road immediately, observe the curfew, and go home. Come on, man. How does this happen? How does this come out? Is this not what we're gearing towards right now? Is it? It's just a coincidence. Okay. Let me get on over here. Whole cities erupt in violence. We reject fascism. So you see the anarchy, the pictures, all that stuff, right? Despite the efforts of the UNA regiment, old flags are flown openly, and there is talk of revolution. We are losing the situation in state after state. Supplementing the police with military assets is having a limited effect. Whole cities are going up in flames. Immediate action is needed if we aren't to lose the entire country. We recommend the partial implementation of phase 3 to rally our people to the flag. We have chosen Boston and are moving assets in position. Assets, right? That's what they call, when they need to do their stuff, they say assets are in place. Those assets can be anything. Anything that's on their side is an asset. You see the same white van pulling up, right? But within the teardrop group, get me Boston Police Department. What in the name of, you know what I'm saying, all that, and all hell breaks loose. The biggest lie in the history of the world. The biggest lie in the history of the world, people. June 21st, 2011. Cop sees nuke bound for Boston. It's made in the UNA. You can't make this stuff up. What are we talking about in 2023? What are we talking about here? You can't make this up. This is something. This is a operation. You guys are sitting here screaming on my page all the time, talking about the QAnon and people, the white hats, people fighting, the real truth. So apparently, in a mock operation, the powers to be attacked themselves, went on this whole exploit, and it turns out to be a damn farce. We call upon all unit commanders to refuse any UNA orders and to await instructions from legitimate governments. We have been sold a monstrous lie, but from within, so-called the UNA and illegitimate, we need to return to our units, gentlemen. Tests on the Boston bomb show that it came not from Korea or China or Iran. They show that our government is corrupt. Tell them that forces still loyal to Denver government are even now moving against us. Tell them that we are outgunned and outnumbered. Tell them that there's a war coming. To be continued. Get out of here with that shit. And this is the last piece. To be continued. Listen, predictive programming. Predictive programming, people, in your face. A whole story. What y'all been talking about QAnon, that is exactly what the fuck this is. This is the same thing that y'all were talking about all through the last 3 fucking years. If you include 2017 with Trump and all that, y'all talked about this shit for years. And since 2009, since Obama's administration, there's been this hidden little gem, fictional story that plays out just exactly what the hell is going on. Yeah, man, come on, man. It's this is how they operate. And there's people out there like, what is he so excited about? What's the big deal? The big deal is that the blueprint is already out there. The story and the idea was already put out there. So this could be one or two things. It could be aiding the psyop that QAnon could be, or this could be predictive programming and getting us ready for whatever the hell we're dealing with right now. Which is one and the same thing. How does this happen? How does this happen? This is Operation Blackjack. Now, if you look into Project Blackjack with the DARPA satellite and the constellation system and the LEO, the low Earth orbit constellation satellites, because they're all on damn balloons, then it would make sense right now why everyone's trying to send their little rocket and their satellite in the sky so they can get their internet ready, while all the while we're sitting here on the ground out here playing fucking war games on the Telegraph damn website. We're sitting here looking at something from 2009 that basically goes completely parallel with everything that we've known about the greatest conspiracy in history. Let me roll to that little. I'm gonna leave that right there, guys. The Boston Globe, the biggest lie in the history of the world. I'm gonna leave that up there. So here's what I'm saying. The Telegraph is old. The Telegraph is mainstream media. They're not posting anything too detrimental to themselves. So whoever put this in here wanted it to be seen. Whoever put this in here thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and put it out there what could potentially happen 14 years in the damn future. 14. I'm gonna leave it right here. Steve, I'm not against that. I do honestly believe QAnon is bullshit. I think this is part of the psyop. A lot of times I blame predictive programming for a lot. I think this is a form of predictive programming. The reason I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was just interesting for the breadcrumbs to be left around the way it is and to see the current state of affairs in our country. It makes you scratch your head and wonder that if they knew they put it out there that way, by the time we see it, it's not a huge deal. We're going through the motions right now of what's going on, but in the same breath, they've left the breadcrumbs. These crumbs go back years and years ago. So what would make a group who is so secretive put out their own propaganda to show what they're doing? It just seems real. It just seems real, arrogant to do it that way. And that's just my opinion. But I gotta go to the rabbit hole theories with stuff, and I wanted to look into this one. That's the fifth part to this whole thing right here. I put that in there. Hey Becky, you're late to the party, so look, I go back and look at all those links. So what this is, Becky, is Operation Blackjack. Operation Blackjack was just basically a mass simulation of an attack across the world in the European in America, and it turned out to be a whole lie. America attacked itself. This is why on the page you see the biggest lie in the history of the world. This is a fictional story, but when you go through the slides, you're going to see what I'm talking about, how they set it up and played it out. This story or this operation is from 2009, and when this is why I say the casino always wins because the casino is the reason it's winning because everything is pre-programmed for them to win. All right, go ahead tag Raven Rock in this. Let them know we're in here. You guys know this stuff, man. It's predictive programming at its best. Tag Raven Rock. Tell them to come on in here. This is crazy to me just because it's literally what we're talking about. How did these things? Only thing that we missed from this was the migration issue. Everything else in this thing is spot on. Syria, Iran, China. Only thing we were missing were Russia, and you could have thrown in Israel in there somewhere. There were no attacks in Israel, but oh behold, here we are now, war on the brink of World War III. But this one says basically America attacked itself and it got caught. This is why they took the executives and detained them. Like you guys have been talking about Guantanamo Bay and the tribunals. Me personally, I say it again, I think it's a psyop. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to put it out here and just say that this is potentially psyop propaganda. It's the honest truth. It's potentially psyop propaganda, and I stumbled upon it, and I would like to present it to the world as a way to show you that this story and this idea has been floating around for some time. We've all think that there's going to be some form of revolution. We think there's some group hidden in there. It doesn't really speculate as to how they found out it was the UNA, other than there was information going back. But again, we talked about Operation Northwoods, where they were willing to attack themselves with a drone airliner over Cuba. And if we look into it now, it looks eerily like 9/11. So I mean, I've said it before that this is a wash, rinse, and repeat system. And in the Matrix, there's no originality. So for these people, when they put this information out in these little tidbits of gems, usually 9 times out of 10, They're doing exactly what the shit says. They're literally following the damn directions. I don't like look at every operation we've discussed, Northwoods, Mockingbird, Looking Glass, all these different projects and operations and how they're used in real time applications and where we see, glimpses of these operations in our real existence. And I guarantee wash, rinse, and repeat situation. Guaranteed. Every time. It's that simple. It's a wash, rinse, and repeat situation, and we're stuck in it. All right. Now, the thing about this image is that it gives us a sense of hope that America's gonna come out smelling like roses, and these people are gonna get arrested. That's hopeful wishing, but the state of affairs that we're in right now, it just doesn't seem that way. And there are things going on. There are people going down, and if you want to believe Epstein's dead, then fine. But this is a tough road. This is a tough road to journey and expect us to come out of it smelling like roses. Like this is a fictional story that started off horrible and ended like, oh, okay, great. They found out who the people were, it was the government. But how fucked up is that in real life? Just it. Period. Our elected officials are not working against us. I listened to Biden talk. Kamala Harris has basically stated that we're giving $17 billion to climate support and climate change, which basically means they've just donated $17 billion to wipe out Americans. That's all that means. Kamala Harris actually showed her little lizard neck, and she was at the climate summit and with the UN. Watched a little bit of it. I didn't get into all of it, but she basically pledged like 15 to 17 billion dollars for climate change. Pressured into that because, for the simple fact, they had donated something like a couple $100 million, and they said that wasn't enough, so they made them donate more. And in most cases, that's just a pledge to be part of the global issue. So the climate change is coming. You're going to start seeing a whole lot more events that are directed towards climate change. Get ready, as there could be another polar vortex coming on down to freeze everything. You're going to hear a lot of humming about climate change. The volcanoes are going off across the world. There are earthquakes everywhere. Kamala is an NPC. You're not wrong. I think she's a reptilian, but that's just me. Um, right now, the moves are being made, as I always say, but we have to remain calm and let this play out because it's not done. The infighting with the politicians is going to continue. The migrant situations are going to get worse. New York has approved the FEMA camps. You guys, they revisited the FEMA camp idea in New York and they approved it. They approved the FEMA camp in New York. So now, if you have a child's cold or a cough, they can basically apprehend you and put you in isolation in a camp without any due justice, just because you got a cough while forcing the on you. New York, I knew they were going to bring it back just because you now. What do we have going on? We have the white lung disease or whatever they call it. Listen, people, do not do not be suckered into this. Do not be sucked into what you're about to get right now. Do not be sucked into what they're about to start pumping through the propaganda machine, guys. I'm telling you now, they're about to fearmonger the shit out of you. The truce fell apart. We knew that was gonna happen in the Middle East with Israel and all that. We knew that wasn't gonna last long. They got a couple hostages out. When I say a couple, somewhere between 50 to 100 hostages. That's just loosely reported. Okay, they're about to hit the fear mongering button for the year 2024. I'm telling you now. China's already pushing the propaganda in their country. They're already talking about quarantining and lockdowns in their country. Do know whatever China do, America's gonna follow suit. They're gonna follow suit. Do not be deceived. Let me put my face in here. Let me get my screen Stop my screen share. I'm back. Do not be deceived with what's about to happen, okay? The job shortages are coming. The buyback is shit right now. The regional banks are collapsing. Listen, it is all part of the plan to some extent. Whether it's our plan or their plan, it's part of the plan. Now, how does that work for us? I'm not entirely sure, but what I'm telling you now is that they're ramping up on gas piston rifles, piston, the gas system, all that. They're trying to ban that. I caught a report. It's very hush hush right now. If they can't ban the whole rifle, they're going to ban the pieces to the rifle, which would disqualify the rifle in itself or the firearm in itself. They're about to hit this button. Like Steve said, fear is fuel, right? They're about to hit this button. All right. Now Steve asked me something, man. He said, "Love you, buddy. Love you too, man. But what about the Malaysia Airlines 370 disappearing in midair wormhole?" I saw that video. I can't speculate on how real the video is, but it looked very convincing. And from all the other reports, they say it's legit. Now, if that shit's real, there's some explaining to do on a large scale. Because people were saying it was shot down or it was brought down at a it's like a hidden CIA island in the Pacific Ocean. I can't think of the name of it, but they said that it was there. Um, some people say it just crashed and no one found it. I don't personally know. I saw the video. I didn't want to speculate. I haven't shared it yet. It's already seen. It's nothing really special about the video. Um, Other than there's three objects hovering around the plane and then it just disappears into a wormhole or somewhere. It was impressive. I don't know if it's real, but I thought it was impressive. At this point, nothing shocks me. Nothing would really shock me at this point. It's just me. Like I said, man, with everything going on, there's always something new happening. At this point, I just take it and I run with it, and I just do the research and be like, hey, 3D, 4D, 5D, we're all getting ready to see some weird shit. They're gonna hit this fear mongering button, and it's going down. Now, where we go from there is is something different. Now, once this transpires, right? Once this actually happens, however they try to fear monger us, whether it's the new pneumonia coming out or they try to do it with the war itself, they're gonna let it get wild for a little bit because that's what they gotta do. They gotta let it bubble. All right. Linda says I had to really search for your live broadcast and your audio sounds like it's really being messed with tonight. Ah, I'm here. Sometimes it's good audio. Sometimes it's great visual. Sometimes they mess with it. Last week, I got banned from YouTube. They banned one of my videos. I ain't gonna say I got banned, but I got a strike for one of my videos. So Linda, you're not wrong. It's a normal occurrence with this page. I'm no like huge podcaster or YouTuber. I'm just a guy with a little bit of time, a little bit of research, and a lot of theories. Steve says, nothing shocks us. Reality is chaos. It is. And I don't know how many operations I could go through before we all come to the conclusion that it's just wash, rinse, and repeat. Um, it's just one of those things that as it happens and transpires, we have to be vigilant. We have to be cautious about who's pulling the strings. I'm very adamant about psyops. I'm very adamant about staying to myself. I don't like joining groups and organizations or organizing. I watched a speech from Robert Welch one of the founders of the John Birch Society, and it's about the meeting that he had in 1958 about what was going on with communism. And from my understanding of his speech, he says organization is one of the weaker ways to go against communism. He calls it communism at the time. They asked for something called dynamic organization, and the fact of the matter is that for what I do, I'm always going to get shadow banned. So for me, putting out the message matters, but for you guys, spreading the information is what matters. You guys got to spread this information. You guys got to share the videos. You guys got to like pump it out because I get beat up by the system on a regular. This isn't nothing new. TikTok, I don't even go live on TikTok. It's a waste of time. They like to ban me. So I don't even do that. I just make my videos on there. They got really good software for your phone. YouTube's cool, but they're very fascist at times. They're very censoring. Facebook is Facebook, and I'm on Rumble. I have no problems with Rumble. Rumble's great. I'm moving to Twitter soon too. I didn't go live on Twitter tonight. I didn't set it up, but that's something that I am gonna do. Steve says, "How do we throw a wrench into the wash, rinse, and repeat?" I don't know. I have no idea. If I can keep pulling up the same information but rewritten in multiple ways, we have an understanding of what they're doing. But as a whole, it matters if we all step back and say no. I'm not saying get out there and riot. I'm saying 100,000 people standing outside in solidarity, holding hands, and singing the national anthem or singing whatever song gets your point across is more plausible than running out here pillaging and burning stuff. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I'm saying that with resistance comes revolution, and with revolution comes aggression. And that's from both sides. So to stop a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle, we just have to be smart enough to know how to identify the cycle happening in front of us and then being able to diagnose the problem and going from there. Whether it is us sitting at home and boycotting, or it's us forcing our politicians and elected officials to actually do something other than visit brothels and waste our tax dollars. Okay. Two-part answer. Two-part answer, I think. Uh, but that's my idea of it. I can't say that's the way to go, but I can say that it's going to take us to identify. And from my understanding from the Robert Welch speech, I haven't shared that speech. I believe I have a copy of it. I got to cut it up. It's like 2 hours long. I don't know if you guys know who Robert Welch is, but he had a very captivating speech, and it sounded very similar to what Kennedy was saying at his time when he was in office. So, a lot of people regard the John Birch Society as a far right group, possibly racist. But for my research and past video archives, it doesn't come off that way. But again, I could be ultimately wrong. It pays for everyone else to do their own research. Now, in any situation that we are like the one that we are in, it is very important, like Steve mentioned, to identify the problems at hand. No singular issue should transpire itself if it does not involve the populace. We have to stick together and fight for each other so that this can actually work because the people that we're dealing with are very small in numbers but very mass in volume of power and control. So organizing and putting yourself together is only going to get you infiltrated by the alphabet boys and dismantled and arrested. What has to kind of happen is that everybody is on the same page but not the same page. This is best and the two-part answer. That is my TED talk. So what we're dealing with is a multifaceted answer. We have to stick together. We have to do the things that matter. All right. Like I'm not gonna come on here and talk real hard like I see a lot of podcasters do. You guys, I don't really attack anybody and I don't really try to fear monger. So I can see how my stuff in the algorithm kind of gets put in the back because I'm not, part of the system. I'm kind of speaking against it, and that kind of aggravates everything. But the truth of the matter is if we stick together, we can survive this. We just have to stop ripping each other's throats out. It's a real simple answer. Really simple. Um, but if we can't do that, then you might as well get ready for the camps and the chips and CBDC. If you're not invested in crypto, this is not financial advice. Just look into it. Blockchain's a good idea, even though it may have been created by DARPA. But there's some good working in our favor. What that good is, I don't exactly know. I'm a realist. I'm like a lot of you. I see what's going on. I try to watch the videos you guys send me. It's so much information. So I got to take my time with it. But I do think that 2024, if we get to the presidential election and we actually get a president, it's not going to be somebody we want. Kennedy Jr. is very tempting, but it's just hard for me to believe in him. Becky says people should get to know their neighbors and have a plan in case of a natural disaster. Be ready. Shit, man, natural disaster. We're talking about pole shifts. They got volcanoes going off right now. I believe most people in the European Union are still rioting right now. And we're not getting a whole lot of coverage inside of our own country about what's really going on as far as the migrants. They're very hush about the migrant situation right now. I try to keep you guys posted on Telegram with a lot of that, but they're very hush and tight nipped about this migrant situation, which is very strange. The derailments are still happening, and there's still sightings of military walking around the cities right now. There's the things that we think have stopped have not stopped. They're just not covering it. They're still happening. Still happening. Well, yeah, Becky, the U.S. is one of the most dangerous. It's been the most dangerous country to visit for a while. So when I worked in travel, long time ago, I used to work for different card providers, and I was the concierge travel service on your credit card. No matter the brand, except for like American Express. But for most brands, I was like the concierge service, and we did your travel, and we did your booking and your tickets and all that fun stuff. So that was something that I did back in the day. Um, Now, when you work in travel, you tend to go through the travel advisories. You got to let people know what's going on. One of the things I notice is that there are constant travel advisories about America. It is considered extremely dangerous at all times to be here if you're not from here. Excuse me. When we have riots, they put those on travel advisories and they tell people to stay away. America is extremely dangerous, but America is not the most dangerous place in the world. People like to think that, but we're not. We're still a decent country. The idea of America is what we're running off of mentally, but what the actual existence of America is not the same thing. The idea of America is great if our leadership would match the idea, but our country being dangerous is just because our leadership is dangerous. If leadership is tainted, everything in the body is tainted. And if that's the case, we are a product of our leadership. And if that's the case, then we need to get rid of our leadership. Otherwise, our country wouldn't be so damn dangerous. That's just my opinion, my theory. Nothing, no pushback. Just, it is dangerous to travel here. So you're not wrong, Becky. I know you are. I can always tell. Because I'm a dedicated, proud American. I don't know what I call myself. I'm proud to be American. I'm just not proud of the American leadership, if that makes sense. I'm not very proud of them. I think we can do without them. That's just me. I think we could benefit from new people, new thoughts. Shit, I'll take Steve as a new senator than I deal with some of these people. Becky, you could run too, girl. I'll pencil your ass in an election ballot any day. You better than what's out there. Yeah, Steve's not wrong. Our leadership would be great if we actually had real leadership again. From my understanding, from Robert Welch and listening to all these documentaries, a lot of people say about the time of Roosevelt and Wilson, about that time frame is when everything started getting, switched up in the game. Around that, right before World War I and through World War II, and from here on out, minus the exception of Kennedy, but everyone else, complete doo doo. Like the little tidbits of gems that we find about our leadership and the things that we understand that's going on, from the anachrome, the trafficking, the drugs, the money laundering, all this stuff. We know there's information out there on it, but the fact that no one wants to actually arrest them is the underlying problem. All alphabet agencies, which probably have good people in them, are tainted by bad people, and that's everything across the board. It's hard to have leadership that's all greased or compromised. And that's the scary part. We don't really know who's compromised. We have an idea about the way they move that they're compromised, but we don't really know who's compromised. We just safely assume. Becky says the only time that I remember I felt I had a chance, we had a chance under the leadership of Donald Trump. He's not the worst thing. We've had bad leadership. Trump, although a fear mongering chaos agent, kind of an asshole, he did get things accomplished. I can't agree on that. Now, whether that's because they allowed him to get things accomplished or because they wanted him to get things accomplished, two different things. Biden getting anything accomplished, Biden walking down the stairs is a task. Biden completing a sentence is a task. Trump got tasks done. That's not false. What my issue lies with that man is that his methods are so chaotic. All right. That's the best way that I can describe that guy, is that he is kind of chaotic in his methods. But I take it as him thumbing his nose at people. My family finally made it up to the presidency, because they're all bloodline. If that's true about becoming president, you got to be bloodline. So you got to know he's bloodline. But that doesn't mean he's working for them, or he's working with us. That just means he maybe don't like them a lot. Like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not fond of George Soros and a lot of other people. Doesn't make him my enemy, but it does make him the enemy of my enemy. Does that make him my friend? Doesn't make him my friend either. It just makes him the enemy of my enemy. It's a weird paradox, people. And I try to decipher for you guys. I always want to come on here and give you the best information or the best gems that I can find, and just sometimes shoot the shit with you. Sometimes I kind of drag ass on my shows and maybe not want to do a show because it's a lot of work going through this information and still trying to manage a life and a family. But I try to get on here at least weekly to give you guys the gems that I come across and predictions. Now, I did make a recent prediction today, maybe yesterday, about Texas seceding, excuse me. So this is something that is still being talked about and is on the ballot for 2024 in Texas, because Texas has already approved their own digital backed currency and they've already rejected CBDC. Now, I can understand why Texas wants to separate from the actual republic itself, because the republic is doing nothing for the republic, or at least the leaders of the republic. Texas has a dilemma to either disconnect from the grid, which is dangerous because we saw what happened when the snowstorm came and they couldn't get the power sent to them because they're not on the American grid itself. Texas being by itself is slightly dangerous just for the fact that Texas could easily mount up and declare whatever they want to. I know that's hard to believe, but if Texas secedes, then Texas is its own sovereign state. And that's a whole problem in itself. Now, my theory, are they going to do it? No. That's my theory. I could be wrong. But if they do it, be prepared to see everyone else follow behind it. Be prepared for Alabama, who just assigned a new commander for the guard. Be prepared for be prepared for Georgia, whatever Georgia decides to do with this bickering and fighting inside its state. You know Mississippi's going to follow suit because they can't do anything on their own. Louisiana, same way. This infighting is going to hit a Fahrenheit pitch, and you're going to see some separation. And whoever wins the presidency, you're going to see even far more separation. All right. Becky says, here's what I really thought about Donald Trump. The more they attacked him and he exposed their fraud and the corruption of government, they would accidentally turn him into a king. I don't want to use the word dictator. So Trump is America's choice for president. You're not wrong. He is going to probably come out of this court case scot-free on fraud, and he's going to come off looking like Mr. Big Nuts of 2024. Biden, in my opinion, does not stand a chance. Just because Biden has purposely been incompetent to a level that has never been seen. He can't even finish a sentence, or can he walk downstairs? So the idea that this extra old man running the country is pretty far-fetched. It's just far-fetched. So I'm assuming Kennedy, Trump, pretty much going to run against each other. One of them's going to win. I don't trust Kennedy Jr. just yet, and it's hard for me to trust Trump also. Not because Trump has done anything to me, but just because I don't trust anybody in that section. He says I'm adopted. I'm only know my dad was German and my mom was Scottish. I bleed red, white, and blue. And you should. This is your home. This is where we're all from. Even if you made it your home and you became a citizen, this is what we know. We got to protect it to some extent. We got to believe that the idea of America is still real, but it's hard to do that when your leadership is the leadership we got, and they're basically pushing this fake prophecy down our throats right now. That's just me. No judgment, just me. So you guys ask me questions, man. I didn't plan on being on here long tonight. Talk to me. I'm only going to be on a little bit longer. I just wanted to do this one particular story because I wanted to get it out and I wanted to talk to you guys, but I didn't plan on staying on long tonight. Sunday, I know everyone got to work. It was a late show. But I'm kind of just hanging out right now. I wanted to make sure that I got time on here to stay consistent. Promo, Twitter, Telegram, IG, Daily Rabbit Hole, or just Daily Rabbit Hole. Feel free to donate stars. Feel free to hit my PayPal up. Feel free to do all those natural things. But I'm not going to be on here too long tonight, guys. I got an early morning myself. So you guys enjoy your night. I'm going to go ahead and put some stuff up here. How you doing? That's donate if you want to. Feel free. Got that on the screen. I just want to do Operation Blackjack because that was the last piece of my blackjack puzzle. And that's probably what there could possibly happen, but I don't believe it. So I'm going to leave my summary on this. The predictive programming is out there. The government has already figured out what they want to do. They're already moving into that phase three idea of digitally chipping everybody. California is a cesspool. The West Coast may separate. Washington, D.C. is really in trouble right now. And there are a lot of factors going on with Israel that no one's talking about as far as why the Israeli government still attempting to, I guess, ethnically cleanse Palestine and continue through this turmoil. America has been the only country, along with Israel and a couple other European unions, to not elect for the ceasefire. So that should tell you everything you need to know. They don't want the ceasefire. They don't want to help the Palestinians. They just want to basically ethnically cleanse that area, and that's not going to happen. China's booting up at Taiwan right now, and all the ships are pushing towards that place. And nothing has really changed. All the press that we see, just atrocity propaganda. As far as what you're seeing on Telegram, that's about as close as you're going to get to understanding what's going on out there. Like it says, well, with Kennedy running, we're going to have the same kind of election when Ross Perot ran. Donald Trump wins by a landslide. I remember Ross Perot. He turned down the Microsoft deal, and maybe he understood that Bill Gates was a piece of shit back then. I thought he lost his mind. God bless the people who won't fall around for the bullshit. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you fall for this white lung shit, and I know the white lung shit is probably something real, but it could just be pneumonia. But in my opinion, don't fall for it, people. They're gonna throw it out there, and they're gonna see if you guys bite and get scared, and go ahead and let them do what they want to do again, like they did with C-19. Don't fall for it. That's all I'm saying. Just don't fall for it, because they're gonna do it again, because it's a repeat situation. And God knows we don't need a wash, rinse, and repeat situation with lockdowns and all that. Even though we all know it's kind of coming, let's not fall for the trick again. All right. So I'm gonna leave you with that. You guys be smart. You guys be safe tonight. If you're out having a good time, enjoying some NFL football, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I might do an early morning report as far as current events in the morning. So something I'm trying to work on with the schedule. But you guys have a good night. This is the Daily Rabbit Hole. Deuces.